Good afternoon. My name is Mark Adler. I'm co-founder of the Michigan Production Alliance. It is December 2020, and I'm going to interview a young man who I just discovered, who has worked on the film No Sudden Move most recently. I'd like to introduce you to Edmon Armstrong. Edmon, come on in.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. Hey, thanks for joining me here today.
Absolutely.
All right, so what I want to do is, Michigan Production Alliance promotes anyone getting into the industry, right down to veterans, people that have been in the industry for a long time. So we want to hear your story, and I'll ask you a few questions about that. For example, did you go to school? And
yes, I went to Macomb Community College.
Oh, okay. And what did you study there?
I was in the MACA program. I did video production, photographic technologies, and associates of arts, and then an associates of general studies. So 4 degrees.
Who was your professor for video studies?
Oh my God. He was one of the, because there was a father-son duo that was working there, and the father unfortunately passed of cancer, and I can't remember I want to say Soul, maybe it was Soul something.
Okay, all right, just curious because, I know some of the teachers in town, so I was just curious about that. Okay, and then what happened? You got out of school, and did you get a job as a PA immediately, or were you doing something?
Oh no, my backstory is a sordid past of meticulous planning and execution and just going for it. So I was going to Macomb Community College. I was about 1 semester away from finishing my degrees. I actually applied because I made a whole plan of it. So I was like, okay, I know I need to go where the action is, so I need to go to California. So I don't know if a lot of people know this, if you're actually in college, you can sign up for the Disney College program. And the Disney, yes, see, golden ticket. So you're about to learn something right now. So basically the Disney College program is this internship, and I use internship very lightly, but internship where you get to go to Disneyland or Disney World, where you can work and you live in housing that they put you up in for about however long your program is. Some programs be like 3 months. I did the 7th month program, and that was in Disneyland in Anaheim, California. So I was like, okay, anything that I do, I try to make it within the gist of the same realm. So I was like, I need to get to California. So basically I need to find somewhere where I can live and then work until I know what I'm doing out here. So I got that program, and funny enough, the job that I ended up getting was as a photo pass photographer in the park. So we photographed the characters, if people were proposing to each other, whatever, all that other stuff around the thing. So I got there, stayed there for 7 months. And then when that program was over, I moved up to Hollywood, and then it was, you just got to go for it. The safety net is gone. You had 7 months to learn whatever you were going to learn, and it was just go, 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 go. And then, yeah. And then after being up in Hollywood for about 3 months is actually when I got my first PA job. It was on a Discovery ID channel show called Reasonable Doubt. And funny enough, not only was I a PA for the show, I was actually in the show as well for one of the episodes.
Let me ask you this. So for that very first job as a PA, what did you do? What were your responsibilities?
Oh my God. I was like kind of a fish out of water, because I mean, you can try to learn as much as you want to unless you're like actually there. And it's so much, so different, especially for a reality reenactment show and a crime show. So when I got there, it was 3 other PAs. And I was just trying to assist wherever I could, because the way that they were running their show, especially if you're gonna work on a crime reenactment show, it's kind of like everybody kind of pitches in and does everything a little bit. So I was moving stands, moving sandbags, helping to go get lunch, probably doing a lockup, being in the show, having to run down the street and get killed or something. So it was like a mixed bag of just welcome to the industry.
Right. So that show, you probably had a showrunner that was giving you your marching orders, right? Or was there an AD?
No, for reality television shows, you don't actually see a showrunner. You'll probably mostly only meet depending on how big it is, You'll probably only meet a producer, a camera guy, a production coordinator, the sound guy, a grip, and then one PA or a few other PAs. That's pretty much what they have. You usually won't see an actual like showrunner head person for a reality show. For the scripted shows, I mean, I've done Batwoman and Empire, and I don't think I've ever met the showrunner. I think that's more of a, if you're like deep, maybe like in like the AD department, maybe you'll probably run into that person. But if you're anything else ancillary, you probably won't meet that person.
Right. Showrunners is what I understood to be for reality TV, but and ADs are typically, showrunners are more producers, and ADs are, of course, running the PAs. When did you first? What I'm getting to is, who told you what to do on these jobs?
Oh God, it was whoever the person that hires you usually is in charge of you. For a reality show, the person that's usually in charge of you is a production coordinator, unless they hire a key PA. And then a key PA is basically in charge of the PA. So the production coordinator would tell the key PA what to do, and then the key PA would delegate those tasks to the PAs. But it really runs the gambit. I haven't actually, surprisingly, there's not been that many shows I've worked on where there's actually been a key PA position that's like been actually active. The film that I just got done finishing, that did have a key PA on it, of course, and that's who we get our marching orders from.
Right, that's true. Now, the next question is, were you treated gently? Did they help you out? If you had questions, or were they just saying, you're on your own, kid?
For my first one,
yeah,
I think for my first one, I tried to play it cool, like I've done this before, so I didn't like let on them like, oh, this is my first, and I run around telling everybody that. I didn't want to do that. But there has been shows where if if you're friendly enough with people, or they're friendly enough and you ask them a few questions, they will show you something. But the biggest thing that I would probably give somebody as advice when you're on set is just listen and look. I mean, any opportunity that you're on a set or commercial, promo, whatever, just make sure you're just standing there and just watching somebody, and you'll pick up pretty much what's going on, how the room is moving, who's saying what are people doing. Like, it's you learn how to anticipate, then learn, I guess, that's more of it. It's not about knowing something, it's about being able to anticipate and execute something very quickly. And so I'll say that's my biggest strength.
Very well said. That's exactly what I believe should be done on your first job. It's a good strategy. Let me ask you this. Did you have any skills when you came out of college? Did you have any other skills that might help you in your career? We call them translatable skills that,
oh my God,
that you bring.
You're gonna get me in trouble for this one. But unfortunately, I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
And this is not even just a Macomb Community College thing. This is just an all college thing. The teachers that are running these programs, and the way that these programs are set up, whatever like degree it is for entertainment, it's set up in a way where it will fulfill the criteria, so the school can map out that you have completed something and that they can charge you a certain amount for it. So when you're in school, I say there's two types of people. There's the one person who comes here to do the degree, but really have no outside of the school self-learning. And then there's the person that comes and gets the degree and knows that that degree is not going to be enough, and they learn outside of school. So I was one of those people who learned outside of school. So nothing in school was going to help me get ready for this. Like if I went back to Macomb, I would get rid of that whole video production program and like, let me tell you something. Can you put up a tent? Can you drive a passenger van? Can you drive a box truck? Do you know how to go crafty shopping? Do you know how to do receipts? Do you know how, like, that's all the stuff that they should be showing you in school, and they don't show you that stuff because that's actually what you need to know to actually be working. They'll teach you this is what storyboarding is, or this is what a camera does, and barely do that. But this is what a camera does. This is, these are terms and all this other stuff. And I mean, it's all great. I loved it. I mean, I was going for school for art degree, so I learned that stuff, but none of that is actually transferable into the field. No one is going to be asking you for terms and to draw a grayscale building. Like, no one's going to ask you to do any of that stuff.
Right. I mean, so once you get the lay of the land, you do learn pretty quickly. I wrote a book called Production Algebra, a handbook for PAs. And what I found is that a lot of the schools, like you mentioned, have a little gap there. They're giving you a preset kind of skill set. And when you get out into the world, you find that no, they haven't trained you on even how to balance a checkbook or your petty cash, right? So these are skills that you learn on set. So that's what I've been teaching in my boot camps. And this video is to help me teach others that that may not have the experience that you've had. Now, I think school is important to have,
Yeah.
for some people, it gives you kind of a background.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, school is very important because I always tell people a degree in this business, especially, only really proves that you are committed to something and then you can finish it. That's pretty much it. A degree is not going to be like, oh, you can go to Wayne State with a whatever film arts degree and me from Macomb put us in the same room and I'll outperform that person. It doesn't matter what degree or what school you're at. It's about the person's, willingness to learn outside of school, willing to actually look and listen and absorb and anticipate and all those other things. So, I mean, this is an interpersonal communication type of industry. So you really do have to just be there and be willing to absorb. Because I've seen people who have PA'd before, or they get into this and I just see them standing there like a deer in the headlights because they don't know what to do. And they're trying to remember all these things from school. I'm like, that's not going to help you here. Like, you have to talk to people. You have to go and do this. You have to go volunteer to do that. You have to have all these other skills. Like me, I had to learn how to drive a passenger van. A funny story. On one job, I had to lie and say I knew how to drive a passenger van, which I did not know how to do. But I learned how to do it real quickly on YouTube before I got this job. So I'm like, it's one of those things where you have to sometimes fake it till you make it, but also you have to put that work in outside.
Yeah, especially when you've got the responsibility for others. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So, so you've had a number of different jobs. I looked at your resume, very impressive.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Over those jobs, over the period of time for those jobs from 2017, I saw on your resume, that's most recent, to 2020.
20.
Right? Have you developed, you in this business, you really have to develop a group of people that, if they're not your close friends, they're friends, your network of people. Have you developed that over the time?
Oh my God. For me, that's a little bit of a double-edged sword question. When I always say when people want to get into this industry, again, it's types of people. You always have the genre of people. There's three types of people that I have met in this industry who are working in this industry. There's the one who has to scratch and fight and bleed for every single job that they've ever had. They've never been given anything. They got it from the mud up. No one has ever helped them. Then there's a person who will get one job or two, and then they'll be able to, I'll talk to this person and I'm real cool with this person. And then for some odd reason, and one job, so I've seen it happen, they're now getting referred for another job, and they have absolutely no idea how to look for a job because they're always just getting referred for a job. And then there's the third person who just basically get nepotism into it. It's like, oh, I know this person, or I live down the street, or and they have no real passion for it, but they're working in it. And I would say I'm one of those people who got it from the ground up. Like, no one really helps me get any of my jobs. There's only been 3 jobs out of 70 plus credits that anyone has actually ever helped me get. And that goes into like a whole nother section of like how people perceive you on set, and the type of personalities that you see on set. If you're one of those lucky people and you're actually able to get referred, I mean, that's the best thing ever. I mean, you're gonna smooth sail up the ladder a little bit more. But unfortunately, for some people and personalities and other things that come in that has absolutely nothing to do with your actual job, it stifles you. And unfortunately, my personal story has never been people giving me a hand up. Is usually people not giving me a hand at all or trying to kick the floor from under me. And so, yeah.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, and I'm sure it's not uncommon. So, for me, I started out in the business many years ago, and I did a lot like you. I scratched my own way in to the business, but over time, I developed a network of people that, a lot of them couldn't really help me or refer me, but some of these people actually became my friends, people that I worked with.
Yes. Oh,
And I
yes,
started
absolutely.
forming those friendships, and that is how I found that you can get work over time. Not always, and you certainly have to do it on your own. When it comes down to it, you got to look out for you, number one.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of people that I've met who are like I'm friends with on social media, and we talk and we're like in the business together. Oh, absolutely on that part. But it just, for some odd reason, I guess people just don't feel the need to refer me because they're like, you've never seen me work on a set. But like when I'm on a set, like I am tunnel vision. I'm anticipating. I'm a self-starter. You don't really have to actually tell me much. And unfortunately, and this is not me being, egotistical or nothing, like this is stuff that just keeps happening ever since I was a little kid, is that I am a person where whether I'm talking in the room or being quiet in the room, I get noticed in the room. And sometimes I'm like the only Black person in the room. Sometimes, I am the only person that's working in this position in the room, or or I'm working in such a high efficiency that somehow it steps on other people's toes. I've had that happen to me so many times, and it's like I'm a person who I'm here because I love doing this, and I want to be, in a collaborative environment. I want to be a team player, and I want to see this thing go up there that we've created. But unfortunately, for other people, they get more concerned with other things that I'm like, I can't control. So trust me, I have some a well list of horror stories that I can tell you that has happened to me. But you do find those people who you talk to a lot, who's your main friend group, and whether they help you get work or not, that you actually are quite friendly with. So I do like that aspect of it, but it is hard. You got to really search in there. It's a diamond in the rough.
I know that experience. I know what you're talking about. Well, let me ask you this now, moving on a little bit. What do you want to do? Because, when you develop a specific skill set, something above a PA, like props department or AD or camera department, is there anything specific that you want to do? Because for those, you might get referrals in the long run.
Oh, yes. Usually whenever you start PAing, you always, they usually say a good PA never stays a PA for long. I want to meet the person that said that. But usually within the first 2 or 3 years, I usually suggest or have seen that most people will find their niche that goes to the whole watching on set, because you always see people who have the personalities to be a sound guy, the personality to be a grip or electric or all these other things. For me personally, I never really could see myself doing any of the, zone B type of crew type of things. I could never see myself doing sound. I never saw myself doing props, like all this other stuff, because I'm a critical thinker. I'm an organizer. I'm a, self-starter. I'm gonna make sure this is done. This is done. I make a list. I check that twice and all the other stuff. So I always thought that I would go up into like the AD world. And for a few years now, I've been thinking, okay, I would love to be a second AD. I'd love to be a first AD, and I'd love to do all this other stuff. And I've actually, do you know what the DJ training program is?
Do tell. I'm not sure.
Oh, well, the DJ training program is a program for, I call it the Willy Wonka golden ticket. So you bypass everything. You go straight up to being a second AD, and they basically train you for about 2 years. And when you're done with it, you're automatically put into the union for the AD. And so you put on the whole list or whatever, they pay you for it. So it's a stipend. They train you. It's like school. Like, it literally is a phenomenal training program. It's so hard to get into. I got to the second round of one of them, but didn't get that far. But recently I applied to it, and after working on this film, I sat down and I thought, okay, all these other things aren't working. I know I fit well in the AD world, but where my heart is lying and where I know the universe keeps telling me, especially, like I said, being quiet in the room or even talking in the room, you get noticed. And after having a conversation with Stephen Soderbergh, I realized that I have been trying to put myself in a, well, for this industry anyway, in a more realistic box of, you know, you one day you may be a director, but, you know, bring it on down and try one of these crew levels. And I have decided to break out of that. And now I'm more so focusing on trying to direct and write and just do my own content and stuff. And of course, still, you know, work in crew and production, I got to pay them bills. But I have realized that that's just always been my thing. And the advice that he gave me was just so phenomenal that it has like literally just made me refine that person that first went to Disneyland when I first got to California. I've kind of re-gotten in touch with that. And now I'm starting to plan on directing a few stuff next year and working on my own projects and trying to get to where I actually want to be and stop trying to put myself in a peg that just isn't me. And I think that's been one of the big things that been like a clash with people on set, is that people just, when people don't know what you want, they feel that you want what they have. And so now that I'm kind of clearing that up for myself, so that's where I see myself like going. Like yeah.
That's the most important thing that you have to clear in your own mind. Now, let me ask you this. I want to backtrack for a minute because you mentioned the zones. This is a new thing. You know, I've been in the business for many years. I've never had to work in a zone before. I haven't worked on a feature since 2014. So talk to me about the COVID protocols that you had to follow on this set. Do you know what the zones were and who was in them? That sort of thing. Elaborate for us and for those that might not know.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say this works for everybody because I've only worked one other show since the feature and since COVID started. So I think this more so is a thing that's unique to Warner Brothers. I have no idea what like Disney and all of them are doing on their features. So this is a caution thing. This is just a Warner Brothers thing for what they were doing. I just let people know that. So basically the zones goes from A, B, and C. And from the way that they graphed it is that it's like a circle. Zone A is immediate people that actually is on the set making the movie. Zone B are the people who are outside that takes care of the people kind of like in Zone B. So let's say Zone A is the talent, is the director, is the PAs and like all that other stuff and the props and the camera on. There's Zone A. Zone B is the people that's like at the hotel, is the drivers, is the transportation people, like people who not are on set, but you have connection with them for like maybe a quick little second or a few minutes. And then Zone Z are people who never come to set and who never meet people on Zone B or A. They're like the ones that are out in the world, like going on runs and stuff, having to pick up equipment or return equipment. You never see them on set whatsoever. So those are all those people.
Right. Riggers and grips that are going ahead and setting up new sets, your next location, that sort of thing. Those are in the final zone. That's good. That's good.
And
what else?
And then the way that they had us do it is that you had to get a COVID test before you started working. And then when you started working, you got a COVID, well, it was on a schedule from Monday to Friday. So since I was Zone A, all of Zone A is like the highest priority to not get COVID. So we had to test 3 times a week, and then Zone B 2 times a week, and then Zone C, I have no idea because I never saw them, so I don't know what they were doing.
Were they nasal swabs or were they throat swabs?
You could pick. The first they did the test that you have to do to even work is a 2 nasal nostril swab. So they did that one. And then when you were on set, they just did a 1 nostril swab. And then they had us be able to pick if you wanted the throat or the nostril. And then on the very last week, they actually offered a service for antibodies if you wanted to check and see if you had it before and just missed it or something. So that was the tests that were available.
That's very nice. I know that, you know, being on I'm on commercials, I'm on corporate jobs, and I'm getting tested every week. And your nostrils, you know, they get sensitive after a while too.
Right.
That's one of the, that's one of the things we have to live with now. Let me ask you this, switching subjects. You were a walkie PA most recently, is that true?
Yes, I was the AD walkie PA, but with COVID stuff now, I wish they would, this is kind of another bad thing, kind of going back to COVID, but tying it back into this, is that with everything going on with COVID, a lot of people in certain positions are not fully able to see and recognize that every job has changed in some way. Nothing is the same. I know you want it now, but now 7 months ago was now. Now is I'll have it in an hour because I have to go do this first before I give it to you. So being a walkie PA, I basically was the COVID person of our team. I'll probably say I was a safety coach because everything came through me. And like I was a walkie PA before, but when I mean everything came through me, there was stuff in my job description I didn't know that was my job until it happened. So I was a walkie PA, I was the distro PA, I was the I had to sanitize stuff down, I had to keep bricks on me. I couldn't give it to people anymore, so they had to directly come to me. I'm having to transport stuff this way and that way. I'm having to coordinate with the production office because stuff got to get. So it's like you would think, okay, just a walkie PA, pass out the walkies, pass out the surveillances, pass out the the charging banks and all that. No, it was a lot. Like that was a very, very intensive, hard job. And I, in the time of COVID, I give all,
It's a hard enough job without COVID, So now it'll be easy after this is over, and I hope this is over very soon. Yeah, that's a very intense job, and I wanted to bring that to people's attention because as the walkie PA, you're responsible for a $1,500 radio surveillance gear that most people should own themselves, especially now. The batteries, which have to be sanitized, and they used to be on set, right? You'd have a box where the dead batteries go, and the dead.
Well, see, what I did is that I had a Pelican case, and the Pelican case had the hot bricks in it, and then I also had a bag where I could put the cold bricks at, and then I walked around with antibacterial swabs, and then also Lysol. And so I would Lysol everything down in the morning before I, start passing out bricks, and I'll Lysol everything down at night, and then I would try to make sure everything was separately apart. But like that, it was quite hard. Like I can't even tell you how much it was a thing. And at some point, I got to I was trying to it got so emotionally draining because you're going up against so many things now. If you're being a walkie PA, you're trying to do your job correctly and not have it interfere with other people's jobs. So you're trying to do it as quickly as possible and trying not to complain about it. But then you're trying to get across that I can't do that in that way that you think that I can do it. And then trying to, when somebody says, no, you can't do it that way, then trying to figure out another way to do it that makes it even harder on you. So it was like being the walkie PA, I was taking on a lot of people frustrations with COVID that like I can't control because I didn't start the COVID, but you have to you're basically everyone's therapist. you have to be the emotional punching bag a little bit.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, even without COVID, interdepartmental love is hard to achieve. You have to keep everybody as best you can. So you've worked in a lot of departments, and what you worked as a cast PA as well? Did you deal with extras?
Not on the film. I have been a casting PA before, but not on the film.
Okay, all right. And a talent PA as well, or not on a film? Okay.
Oh no, not on the film. I have all my work that I've done up until the last year and a half has been scripted work. Everything else has been reality television, and in the reality television, I have done wardrobe, talent wrangling. I've done the PA. I've been a runner. I've been a challenge PA. I've been an assistant production coordinator. For scripted, the movie that I just finished, I was a walkie PA, and then before that, for Empire, I was a wardrobe PA, and then I was a regular, just like a wide lockup PA for Chicago PD, I think, Chicago PD, and then that's about it. That's the only variance I've ever done in scripted.
Now, lockup PA is an interesting position because on a film, you might not have any lockup PAs for a long time. You might have just a regular group of PAs. And then for when a big location comes in, you bring in the lockup PAs. Can you explain what those guys do?
For my experience right now, with COVID, since they're trying to keep as less people on set as possible, we did lockup P as well. So trust me, it was us still too. But yeah, a lockup PA is basically somebody when you're out in the world and you only have so much permitted space for your filming or your production to take place. Where let's say you're on a busy, we're in Michigan, you're on a busy Woodward Street, and you have somebody walking and cars coming through on one end of the corner. So you have to have somebody standing on the far end, out of sight from the camera, trying to direct traffic away or telling them to pause or telling people not to walk past or not to touch anything. So you're basically a on the street representative for the production to be like, hey, can you be real nice? Can you just pause right here for a second? You know, you can't get mad with anybody. You always have to smile and give them as much information as to why you're talking to them.
That's right. You can't touch them, right? You've got to,
yeah.
And chances are you're going to be out on the street for a long time.
Mm-hmm. You better hope it's quick.
Right. I mean, your best friend is your radio and whatever's in your backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good point. So you've had a lot of different experience. Now, so you mentioned that you would like to ultimately direct stuff, and that is great because you've learned from the bottom. You've had conversations with one of the best guys that I've ever written about or heard about, rather. So you want to go into that area. What advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in the business?
Oh my God, do you want hopeful advice or do you want the real advice?
Real advice, man. Give me the real advice.
The real advice? Oh my God, I'm about to make some people cry who may be seeing this.
All right.
The real advice, there is a difference between wanting to do this and sacrificing to do this. I have met a lot of people who want to do this, but they don't understand you have to sacrifice to do this. I have slept in my car at truck stops. I have been physically, touched upon on set. I have been emotionally berated. I have almost not been paid a few times. I have had people not care that you're sick. I have had people in my family, an emergency, but I can't go because I gotta go to work. I've had to put myself up and use my own funds to get somewhere because I don't want to pay for it. So basically what I mean is if you want to do this, whatever you think is sacrificing to do this, that's not sacrificing to do this. Go up 10 more levels, that's sacrificing to do this. I have literally gone a month, and I still remember this because it's kind of a thing that kind of traumatized me just a little bit, but I'm over it now, is where I couldn't afford to eat for about 12 days out of the month. And I remember that very vividly. And it was pay my bills to continue staying here to try to find work, or it was eating and then not being able to do that. So you have to really prioritize what you want to do. If you're going to keep saying, I'll go to LA someday, I'll go to LA someday, I'll go to New York someday, I'll go to Atlanta someday. Someday is today. Are you going to be going next week? Are you going next month? If it's 5 years from now, you don't want to do this, find something else to do because you don't want to do this. So that would be my just hardcore direct advice for you. It's your life is sacrificed to this. This is my life. I have no room to do anything else. I live and breathe this. All of my money goes to this. All of my time goes to this. And that with also kind of what I just said is that you cannot be, well, you can be an overly emotional person, but you better have thick skin. Like you need thick skin to be in this industry. I feel like sometimes from TV and movies, people think that this is, all of the underdogs or, the rejects, the creatives or whatever. All these people are coming together and they're gonna, no, all of the people that are in this industry are people who have been hurt, abused, used, and then they transfer that to other people when they get here. So it's having empathy for it, but also having thick skin for it, because you will, and I mean this again, because this has happened to me, it happens to me. You will see something or something will happen to you that will make you question if you want to do this. And it had nothing to do with what you're filming. It's going to be something you saw somebody do on set, and it will make you question. And you're either gonna let it destroy you and stop, or you're gonna rise above it and use it to better yourself. And I know that sounds kind of, horror, but I rather you realize that now than when a situation happens and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened, and no one does anything about it. Sorry.
These are very important points. I mean, the people that you work with are supposed to have your back. They're supposed to support you. And you've given us a harsh truth that does not always happen. So anyone that wants to get into this business, your points are well taken. And Edmon, I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. If you need any other advice, or if anybody else want to contact me, just let me know. I'm a wealth of knowledge.
All right. Thank you, man. Take care.
Of course.